Marshall Mack. I'm talking with my friend Lew Tabackin. I consider one of the greatest saxophone players that I know, and we met somewhere in Japan at the Pit Inn, actually in person for the first time. I think about 5 years ago or something like that.
I think we met, if I'm not mistaken, at Ishimori's.
Oh, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
Time you were fooling around with some tenors and you were trying to figure something out, which one to keep or whatever. You were going through some changes. I think we met there,
Oh,
and
that's right. I was considering selling one of my prized tenors, and then you
yeah,
said, "Let me see that thing." And then I remember, now I forgot. And then you played it, and it sounded so good. And then you said to me, "Man, you don't want to get rid of this one, man. This is a keeper."
yeah. So whatever it is, sometimes you need some input, from other people.
Man, I ended up did keeping it, and I'm so glad. It was a 141,000 tenor. When I got it, it came from one person. They bought it for their son, left it in Connecticut. Bill Singer did the overhaul some years ago, and it's a much different sound than the other tenor I wanted to buy at the time. I ended up able to kind of purchase both of them. They're much different. One's 86,000, one's 141,000. As you said, much different tenors.
Yeah, there's a different. The design was different. And it kept on It kept on evolving. 80,000s are different than the later ones, and I don't know. It's kind of interesting, but you can't always go by the numbers and all that stuff. I'm playing the 50,000 now.
Balance action?
Yeah, so it was a late balance
Wow.
before the six. I got used to it. It's
I
got a
want.
little bit smaller bore.
That's right. So people say you kind of get around faster on those. What do you think?
I don't really care about that. It's not my thing. So I mean, I never. You get used to it, and but it's the sound and the impact, the response, put it that way, that I liked about it, and I got used to it. And my technician, uh, Komoji, Hirakata.
Yes, I know Tomochi well.
Yeah, anyway, it's especially his horn. When I got it, it was like really bad condition. So at that time, he had his own shop, and I gave it to him. I said, Tomoji, this is your horn. Whatever. I mean, I couldn't even play it. I played a couple notes on it, and I said, I think it's going to be a good horn. And I gave it to him, and he straightened it out, and gold plated it, did some engraving, and then a few years later, I started playing it, and as Lester Young would say, the bitch is mine.
Right. So you still have that horn, of course, right?
That's what I play. I have a couple sixes, but I play this one.
Oh, I see. So one day I said to you, and I wanted to. I usually don't like to play music because then YouTube finds the music and tells me it's copyrighted and stuff. But I wanted to play one thing. Give me a second to see if I can get it up here for you. It was killing, brother. And what I mentioned to you once that I felt that I mentioned that you were a brand, Lew Tabackin and your wife, Toshiko. And
Uh,
what I meant by that was, see, we're coming up. I graduated high school 1977, and as you know, in high schools and junior high schools, the stage bands were a big thing at the time. So there were certain printed music that we had, and of course, a lot of it was Toshiko's, Thad Jones, Count Basie, Sam Monestico, Buddy Rich. You know the repertoire that they play in high school. So that's what I meant. Actually, that's how I first got introduced to you at that age. Was Lew Tabackin, Toshiko Big Band. Because it's high school and college, and that's a slamming band, man. Can you? I think Frank West was in it. Can you tell me about that band, that gig, that time period? Is that 1976? When is that?
well, that was pre Frank West. That was the California band.
Hmm.
Uh, we started the band around '73, and actually it was out of boredom. So we moved to Los Angeles in '72 for various reasons. I was offered some work. Doc Severinsen offered me some work uh, on the Tonight Show and stuff, and the scene in New York was got really weird. I mean, I hate to say this, but I was became a victim of the Black Revolution in a sense. Well, I was supportive of the Black Revolution, but it wasn't good for white people. So my opportunities started to get less and less. Duke Pearson tried to get me a record contract, and they weren't recording white musicians at that time. And things got a little strange. A friend of mine, I don't know if you know John B. Williams, bass player.
I
He,
I definitely know who he is. I
yeah,
probably met him
he
somewhere along
he
the way.
was my friend, and we played together with Doc Severinsen and stuff. And he moved to Los Angeles. He says, "Man, come on out here, man. It's great. I'm working all the time." And so I said, "Okay." So we moved to Los Angeles, and shortly after moving there, I realized I was like in the wrong place. I was kind of like a fish out of water. Was that the expression? I mean, it was like I didn't relate too well. Uh, when I got up on the stand to play with those guys, it felt like it was another band. So, and a lot of guys asked me to play with their bands, and but most of the music that they wrote was auditioning for utility work, like movies and whatever. So I told, Toshiko had some charts. I said, well, Toshiko, why don't you? I'll call some guys and we'll rehearse some of your music just for fun. And so that was the beginning. One thing led to another, and she started to write more music, and we found appropriate players, and that's how the band started. So that started in around '73, and that was the beginning. Uh, the band we moved back to New York in '82. That's when Frank West joined the band. He So we had to develop a whole new band, and we were so fortunate to have him because he was so great. He established the whole saxophone reality, which was quite interesting. And anyway, so but what you were listening to was, I think it was the L.A. band. Hello, I'm losing you.
It sounds great. Who was playing lead alto on there? Do you remember?
Oh boy, uh, at that time, the original LA band, Dick Spencer was playing lead alto. I don't know if you know who he is.
No.
He passed away not too long ago. Uh, he was the original lead alto player. We had some good guys, man. Oh, the LA guys. Um, we rehearse every Wednesday morning at the Union because you could rehearse at the Union for 50 cents, and I mean 50 cents for almost 3 hours. And we rehearse, and a lot of like studio guys would come in and they couldn't sight read the music, so they get really pissed off. It was like it was like if you couldn't play it the first time, it's kind of like a Count Basie thing. If the band didn't, you know, do it the first time, it was canceled it. Uh, so these guys would be dropping out, you know, like they were challenged, and they said, "Wow, this music's too hard." It's kind of like one body said it was avant-garde bebop or whatever it was. So we eventually developed a band, and it was went through a lot of trials and errors, and eventually it became. We started to get some gigs, and we went on the road, and it became a band.
Huh. It sounds great, man. There was a lot of great players in Los Angeles that still are, but I remember there was a big recording scene. You know, Jackie Kelso and Plas Johnson, all those cats and stuff, right?
What's that? They,
Jackie Kelso. I'm still working on my sound over here because I
oh,
changed the setting and I'm not sure. Is it okay now?
yeah, it's fine.
Yes.
No, I mean, well, they weren't in the band. Those guys were not in the band.
They were like studio guys, so.
Yeah, we had, we had. Well, the original sax section was uh, Dick Spencer, first alto, Gary Foster. Um, Actually, Bill Perkins played baritone,
Huh.
and Tom Peterson was the fourth tenor. I'm in the old school, first alto, second tenor, third alto, fourth tenor. That's I grew up with that.
I did too.
Now it's like they don't like to say fourth tenor. They say second tenor, like it's demeaning to be fourth. Fourth tenor is the hardest chair in the sax section.
Yeah, for the parts
You know,
especially.
it's the most, it could be the most rewarding if you really take it seriously. But anyway, that was the original saxophone section.
Right. That's the way I remember growing up. And when you get to the Basie band book, that's the way it was. It was
Yeah,
first,
I'm sure it was
second,
like that.
second, fourth.
That
And
was,
that has to do with the voicings, correct?
yeah, of course.
You know.
You're the fourth voice.
Right.
I don't know why they changed it. It's kind of weird. It's a stigma of being fourth, or fifth saxophone. You have to be first, second, or first, second. What is it? Third or whatever. Anyway, it is what it is. It's not important.
Do you remember who was playing the trumpet solo on that track? It's probably a long time ago. I didn't get.
Well, I don't know which recording that was. We recorded it a few times. It might have been Bobby Shue, or I don't know. Uh,
Oh, Bobby Shue.
Could have been Bobby Shue. I don't know which recording that was. I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
Well, that it's a great recording. I know you did other versions. There's a video.
Yeah.
I remember in New York, you guys played. You had a regular gig somewhere because I knew Mike Piniella and Scott Robinson and all those
Okay,
guys.
we played every Monday night at Birdland.
Was that it, Berlin?
And with Birdland for 10 years. Before that, we had Monday nights. We were like the Monday night tradition. We played at the Blue Note for a while. We played at Lush Life. It was a club called Lush Life, really small, and Birdland. And we also actually did one at the top of the gate. So we were like a Monday night band. The longest association was Birdland.